Let's read a little bit more. Part 12. With nests, with shells, at the risk of wearying the reader, I have multiplied the images that seem to me to illustrate the function of inhabiting in elementary forms, which may be too remotely imagined. Here one senses clearly that this is a mixed problem of imagination and observation. I have simply wanted to show that whenever life seeks to shelter, protect, cover, or hide itself, the imagination sympathizes with the being that inhabits the protected space. The imagination experiences protection in all its nuances of security, from life in the most material of shells to more subtle concealment through imitation of surfaces. As the poet Noël Arnaud expresses it, being seeks dissimulation in similarity. To be in safety under cover of a color is carrying the tranquility of inhabiting to the point of culmination, not to say imprudence. Shade, too, can be inhabited. After this study of shells, we could, of course, tell a number of stories about the turtle which, as the animal with the house that walks, would lend itself to much facile commentary. However, this commentary would only illustrate with new examples themes which have already been treated. I shall therefore forego writing a chapter on the turtle's house. But since slight contradictions to primal images can occasionally stimulate the imagination, I should like to comment upon a passage from the Flemish travel notes of the Italian poet Giuseppe Ungaretti. At the home of the poet, Franz Helens, only poets possess such treasures, Ungaretti saw a woodcut depicting the fury of a wolf, which having attacked a turtle that had withdrawn into its bony carapace, went mad, without having appeased its hunger. These 3 lines kept coming back to my mind, and I tell myself endless stories around them. I see the wolf arriving from a distant, famine-stricken land. It is lean and hungry-looking, its tongue hanging out, red and feverish. At that moment, what should come out from under a bush but a turtle, considered by epicures the world over to be a particularly delicate morsel. With one leap the wolf seizes its prey, but the turtle, which is endowed by nature with unusual alacrity when it wants to withdraw head, limbs, and tail into its house, is quicker than the wolf. For the famished wolf it is now nothing but a stone on the road. One hardly knows which side to take in this dramatic incident of hunger. I have tried to be impartial. I don't like wolves. But, for once, the turtle might have refrained from action. And Ungaretti, who had thought lengthily about the engraving, said explicitly that the artist had succeeded in making the wolf likable and the turtle odious. A phenomenologist would have many comments to make on this commentary. Of course, the psychological interpretation exceeds the facts, since no drawn line can interpret an odious turtle. The animal in its box is sure of its secrets. It has become a monster of impenetrable physiognomy. The phenomenologist, therefore, will have to tell himself the fable of the wolf and the turtle. He will have to elevate the drama to the cosmic level, and from there meditate upon world hunger. To put it simply, the phenomenologist would need to have, for one moment, the entrails of the wolf, faced with a prey that has turned itself into stone. If I had reproductions of an engraving of this kind, I should use them to differentiate and measure people's views and the depth of their participation in hunger dramas throughout the world. Almost surely this participation would manifest a certain ambiguity. Some would give in to the drowsiness of the storytelling function and leave the play of the old childish images undisturbed. They would take pleasure in the wicked animal's resentment and laugh up their sleeves at the turtle that withdrew into its shell. Others, however, having been alerted by Ungaretti's interpretation, might reverse the situation. Such a reversal of a fable that has long lain dormant in its traditions could have a rejuvenating effect on the function of storytelling. For here the imagination makes a fresh start, which could be of advantage to phenomenologists. Reversal of this kind may seem to have only slight documentary interests for the all-of-a-piece school of phenomenologists who take the world as their next-door neighbor. They are immediately conscious of being of and in the world. But the problem becomes more complicated for a phenomenologist of the imagination constantly confronted with the strangeness of the world. And what is more, the imagination, by virtue of its freshness and its own peculiar activity, can make what is familiar into what is strange. With a single poetic detail, the imagination confronts us with a new world. From then on, the detail takes precedence over the panorama, and a simple image, if it is new, will open up an entire world. If looked at through the 1,000 windows of fancy, the world is in a state of constant change. It therefore gives fresh stimulus to the problem of phenomenology. By solving small problems, we teach ourselves to solve large ones. I have limited myself to proposing exercises conceived for an elementary phenomenology. I am moreover convinced that the human psyche contains nothing that is insignificant. I would agree. And that is the end of shells. Next time we shall explore, with Bachelard, corners like the one I'm in right now.